Let's do this. What's up, everybody? John Sharmiho here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to show it to you right now. This is the new album from the band Decapitation, entitled Death Atlas. This is released on Metal Blade Records. Yeah. I've talked about Decapitation a whole bunch of times throughout the course of this channel's existence, and I'm really not going to say too much other than what I've already spoken about this band, but for those who probably aren't in the know, these guys are based out of San Diego, California, and this band has had a very, very celebrated and decorated career within extreme metal, having gone through many different musical transformations as far as their sound is concerned, from very early power violence to Carcass-esque gore grind sorts of sounds in their early beginnings, to a more death metal influenced sort of style throughout the later course of their career, to the version of Decapitation we have now. It should go without saying that I absolutely love Decapitation and everything that they've done since their existence. I mean, this band loves to take bold risks, and for the most part, I think these bold risks pay off. I think that bold risk was starting to come around 2009 when they came out with the Harvest Floor, and they incorporated a lot of sounds and styles that would better benefit the current style of Decapitation today. This band really reached the highest point of their existence in 2012 with Monolith of Inhumanity. This pretty much set the course for what would be soon to come from Decapitation in terms of their songwriting, in terms of their musicianship, and in terms of just overall taking huge risks. Adding more elements of progressive music, singing vocals, just some really crazy shit going on with this band. And then in 2015, we got the next step of evolution from this band in the form of the Anthropocene Extinction. Pretty much along the same lines of the last album, pretty much dealing with themes of apocalyptic things, Armageddon, end of the world sort of shit, and that album was just as awesome, if not even more awesome. That was something to behold. And of course now we get to the, let's see here, I think this is their 8th full-length album, Death Atlas, and pretty much when I saw the artwork, when I heard the first song off of this album, I was very excited, of course, to hear what the next step in this band's sound was going to be, whether it was going to keep up in the same sort of direction as the previous 2 albums, how things were going to work out. This is just a crazy, crazy time to be excited for something like this. And now here we are with the latest full-length from Decapitation entitled Death Atlas. It's 14 tracks, and it clocks in at around 55 minutes in length, so this is easily the longest album I've heard Decapitation do. This is definitely, I mean, if you've listened to Monolith of Inhumanity and the Anthropocene Extinction, you're going to get more of what went on those 2 records here, but in a much more dynamic and grander sort of scale. This feels like the final act and the band reaching their final form with an album like Death Atlas. Of course, this new style of Decapitation I've been getting used to a lot lately, but I feel like with Death Atlas, they have really reached their final format here and have put out an album that is just absolutely bonkers. It is an insane album to listen to in terms of production value, in terms of musicianship, in terms of vocal work, in terms of lyrics. This is just some really awesome end time sort of material, and I applaud Decapitation for taking more crazy risks and putting out an album that just sounds absolutely amazing. But yeah, music-wise, it's what you normally would expect out of Decapitation's current, more contemporary sort of sound, but there's a little bit more of an extra bit of beef, no pun intended, added to this mix. You have the inclusion of a new second guitarist and a new bassist added to the forefront. If I'm not mistaken, the bassist of this band is also a bassist in the current bassist for Cryptopsy, and he also played in Neuraxis, which I think is really cool that they added a guy like Oliver Pinard to the mix here. I should start off with the bass work here by saying that it sounds really, really awesome, very warm, very technical. You definitely hear it throughout the majority of this full-length album, and I think he does a fantastic job as this band's new bassist. And he's been doing some really hard work as of lately in terms of them playing live shows. It's really, really cool. But as far as the riffs go, that's where the whole vibe and feeling of Cattle Decapitation begins to soon set in, because as soon as you hear the opening riffs on the Geo side, and then later on with tracks like Be Still Our Bleeding Hearts, One Day Closer to the End of the World, and Absolute Destitute, you just get some really top-notch guitar playing going on here. I love the riffs. I just love how aggressive and chunky these riffs sound. The solo work that appears on this album sounds really, really awesome here. And then, of course, you get moments on this album where it really doesn't feel like you're listening to either death metal or grind. I feel like when I listened to the Anthropocene Extinction, I got a little bit of a black metal-esque sort of flair going for it in certain riffs and parts of this album. And here on Death Atlas, it's shown in a much more grandiose sort of detail here. And I think these riffs sound really, really awesome. I definitely love the diversity and the influence, whether it ranges from death metal to black metal to more progressive sort of leanings, especially towards the final act of this album, which is just absolutely balls to the wall crazy. And I really love how diverse and over the top these riffs can be. The drumming on here is very, very awesome. Pretty much, if you know this guy for Cattle Decapitation, this guy is an amazing drummer. Really, really top-notch work going on here. A lot of fast blast beats, a lot of great energy. David McGraw is an absolutely insane drummer, and he really showcases his chops here when it comes to the fast fills, the blast beats, the double bass, just the energy and just overall guts and fortitude this guy has. It's just really awesome, especially to some of the lengthier tracks that appear on this album, like Vulturess and Time's Cruel Curtain, and even the closing track on this album, the self-titled track, which is almost 10 minutes long. I should say 9 minutes long, excuse me, but his drum work on those songs are just something to behold here, and I think it's really, really stellar to hear him be as eclectic and as diverse as he is here. It is just amazing to listen to, and I'm really digging the little intros and interludes that lead up to certain moments, like the first couple of tracks called The Great Dying. I think that those tracks are really, really awesome. They really add that certain sense of fear, desperation, and urgency when listening to this album. And then, of course, you get a track like The Unreasonable Past, which I think is a really, really nice lead up to the final closing moments of this album. If I'm not mistaken, the drummer of Fish is doing some narration on this album, which I think is fucking crazy that they got him to do something interesting in particular for this album, and I think it works out quite well here. Then, of course, we get to the vocals of this album, and of course, what is there to say about Travis Ryan that I haven't said in the past, or what others have said about Travis Ryan in previously? This guy is an absolute icon. He is an incredible vocalist. He has some incredible ranges, whether it's his guttural growls or really undecipherable and unrecognizable voices. It is just a crazy, crazy career this guy has had, and even with his transitioning into more contemporary and crazy sort of vocals, especially when it comes to the singing parts, it is just awesome and over the top. And I definitely think his vocals in terms of singing have gotten a lot better. It honestly feels like the more progressive side of Cattle Decapitation is coming into full swing here. And hearing him do the vocals that he does, it's just so awesome. His guttural vocals, his screams sound so awesome. They sound so badass here. The singing parts, they're just all earworms that get stuck in your head, and you'll want to sing along with him, regardless of whether or not this album will give you fear of the end times or Armageddon or some shit like that. And I definitely think it sounds amazing to hear him do the vocal work that he does, and especially with these amazing lyrics. I definitely think these are some of the most detailed lyrics out of the 3 Cattle Decapitation albums that have come out recently. Is just really, really awesome lyrical work, vocal work going on here. And I think on the closing track, Death Atlas, there's some operatic stuff going on here. I don't know if it's him towards the very closing moments of that track, but I know there's someone else doing some operatic vocals, which I think sound really, really good here and definitely close this album off on a very, very high note. I definitely think this is an absolutely crazy final act for this album. So overall, I honestly don't know where I would stack it in comparison to the Anthropocene Extinction or Monolith of Inhumanity. I do think that this does serve as a nice closing bit of a trilogy of really, really ballsy, gutsy sorts of records. I definitely appreciate and respect what Cattle Decapitation have done here with this album, with where they want to go and how they want to accomplish it, and who knows what the future will hold for them. I definitely think that if you're a fan of the current era of Cattle Decapitation, you're going to find something to enjoy with Death Atlas. I'm pretty sure this is going to be another album that's going to be divisive amongst listeners. You're either going to love it or you're either not going to love it, and you're probably just going to stick to stuff like To Serve Man or Homivore or Human Jerky or whatever. I love all eras of Cattle Decapitation, and I definitely think that this is going to be something that requires a lot of extended listens throughout this month, the next month, and then into 2020. There's going to be a lot to think about here. So, if I had to think of any personal favorite tracks, I would definitely have to say the Geocide, Be Still Our Bleeding Hearts, One Day Closer to the End of the World, Bring Back the Plague. I fucking love the hook on that track. It is just absolutely amazing. Absolute Destitute, With All Disrespect. And of course, the closing track, Death Atlas, is absolutely phenomenal. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you some links in the description box as to how you can get a hold of this album and listen to it. I will leave you a link to the Cattle Decapitation Bandcamp page where you can listen to this album in its entirety, hear it for yourself, and be your own judge as to whether you think it's worthy of being purchased or not. You can stream it, buy it digitally, and since the time of this video's upload is on Black Friday, that is when this album is set to be released on a grander scale. This album is available physically in a wide multitude of formats: CD, cassette, and 12-inch vinyl. There's box set editions, there's special editions of this album, lots and lots of merch. And of course, what I have in my hand is the CD version that I picked up from seeing this band live. They had this CD for sale early. They had all of the merch early. Of course, there you see the Pro CD and the writings that you normally would expect on the back of Cattle Decapitation records. This artwork, which is very different from everything that Wes Benscotter has done here with lyrics. I love the photography that has all the band members looking like they're ashen and deteriorating. It's fucking crazy. There you see the full band member lineup. The new Cattle Decapitation logo from Gruesome Graphics. Absolutely badass. Such a great booklet here, and my vinyl version is currently on its way to me right now. I'm very much looking forward to playing that on my record player soon. So yeah, and I should also go without saying, this band is on tour right now. They're on tour with Atheist, Vitriol, Author and Punisher, and of course Full of Hell will join them for the first couple of weeks of the tour, and then Primitive Man will join them right soon after. So if you're going to see Cattle Decapitation on tour, definitely check them out. They got a great stage setup, they got a great look going for it, and I definitely think that this is badass. So again, the album is Death Atlas by Cattle Decapitation. This is released on Metal Blade Records. Definitely check this one out. And for a score, I'm going to go ahead and give this a 9.5 out of 10 for now. This is going to get a 9.5 out of 10. I definitely think this is a beautiful album, beautifully, expertly crafted. I pretty much could change my mind on this later and just say that it's perfect, but who knows? There's still a lot more time to be listening to this album, but yeah. If you've happened to have heard Death Atlas or gotten yourself a copy, definitely let me know what you think about it, how you feel about it, and we can go from there. Or any of you guys into Cattle Decapitation? I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are. Definitely let me know. And with that being said, this is my final video of 2019. I want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you to every single solitary one of you guys that have been watching my videos and supporting and checking out everything that I've been doing within the course of 2019. This has been an absolutely badass year. Lots of great badass music to listen to, lots of great music to buy, bands to support, and just overall be an awesome 2019, and I'm very much looking forward to hearing what 2020 has to offer. And of course, I will be returning mid-January to February 2020 with some new content, and hopefully the best will still be soon to come as we will enter the decade of decadence here on this YouTube channel. So thank you everyone for watching. Thank you guys for checking out my channel. Thanks for your support. I love every single one of you. And until next year, Army Ho out.